come up when he hears it.
Yeah. The Clinton City Council will please come to order. We'll begin tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Seeley,
Here.
McGraw,
Here.
Allison,
Here.
Connell,
Here.
O'Neill.
Here.
Thank you. Councilmember Allison.
Your Honor, I move to dispense with the reading of the regular city council meeting and committee of the whole minutes of April 11th, 2017, and they be approved as published on April 25th, 2017.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember O'Neill,
Yes.
Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Connell.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a short roll call now with only 5 tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move into public hearings, of which we have 5 tonight, so we'll be here for a while. I will first begin with convening a public hearing concerning the accepting bid and awarding contract for the 2017 demolition of structures project Phase 1 at 316 4th Avenue North. Have we heard anything in the clerk's office?
We have not, Your Honor.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address this public hearing? Hearing none, Councilmember Seeley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that the public hearing concerning accepting bid and awarding contract for the 2017 demolition of structures project Phase 1 at 316 4th Avenue North be entered into the record.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Allison,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Seeley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution accepting bid and awarding contract for the 2017 demolition of structures project Phase 1 at 316 4th Avenue North to Wilson Trucking for $6,300. I move this resolution be adopted as presented.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Allison,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw.
Yes.
Thank you. I will now convene a public hearing concerning the accepting bid and awarding contract for 2017 demolition of structures project Phase 1 at 321 27th Avenue North. Have we heard anything in the clerk's office?
We have not, Your Honor.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address this public hearing? Hearing none, Councilmember Connell.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that the public hearing concerning accepting bid and awarding contract for 2017 demolition of structures project Phase 1 at 321 27th Avenue North be entered into the record.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Connell.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution accepting bid and awarding contract for 2017 demolition of structures project Phase 1 at 321 27th Avenue North to Wilson Trucking for $4,000. I move this resolution be adopted as presented.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Thank you. I will now convene a public hearing concerning the accepting bid and awarding contract for the 2017 demolition of structures project Phase 1 at 400 North 3rd Street. Have we heard anything in the clerk's office?
We have not, Your Honor.
Anyone in the audience that wishes to address this public hearing? Hearing none, Councilmember Allison.
Your Honor, I move that the public hearing concerning accepting bid and awarding contract for 2017 demolition of structures project Phase 1 at 400 North 3rd Street be entered into the record.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just curious why it's $30,000. I mean, the others are relatively small. I don't know what the structure is.
It's that brick building right across from the apartments by St. Pat's.
Used to be Filchendorf.
Yeah.
Used to be what?
It used to be a music company.
Oh, Illinois Music.
Illinois
Oh,
Gaming or
okay.
whatever that is.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Can't get an inspector inside there. Mayor Council Jeff Chapman, BNS.
it's collapsed all the way down. I think that has a lot to do with the asbestos, that we have to treat the entire thing as hot. So I think that's where that comes from.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
yes,
Allison,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Allison.
Your Honor, I have a resolution accepting bid and awarding contract for 2017 demolition of structures project Phase 1 at 400 North 3rd Street to H&H Construction for $30,950. I move this resolution be adopted as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
yes,
Allison,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Thank you. I will now convene a public hearing concerning the accepting bid and awarding contract for 2017 demolition of structures project Phase 1 at 432 8th Avenue South. Have we heard anything in the clerk's office?
We have not, Your Honor.
Anyone in the audience that wishes to address this public hearing? Hearing none, Councilmember O'Neill.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move the public hearing concerning accepting the bid and awarding a contract for 2017 demolition of structure project Phase 1 at 432 8th Avenue South be entered into the record.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember McGraw,
yes,
Allison,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember O'Neill.
Thank you, Your Honor. A resolution accepting bid and awarding a contract for 2017 demolition of structures project Phase 1 at 432 8th Avenue South to Colgan Excavating for $7,200. I move this resolution be adopted as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember McGraw,
yes,
Allison,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
Thank you. I will now convene our final public hearing concerning the accepting bid and awarding contract for the 2017 demolition of structures project Phase 1 at 558 3rd Avenue South. Have we heard anything in the clerk's office?
We have not, Your Honor.
Anyone in the audience wish to address this public hearing? Hearing none, Councilmember McGraw.
thank you, Your Honor. I move that the public hearing concerning accepting bid and awarding contract for 2017 demolition of structure project Phase 1 at 558 3rd Avenue South be entered into the record.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
Yes,
Allison.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember McGraw.
thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution accepting bid and awarding contract for 2017 demolition of structure project Phase 1 at 558 3rd Avenue South to Colgan Excavating for $7,900. I move that the resolution be accepted as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
Yes,
Allison.
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes our public hearings for tonight, so we'll move to audience comment. I have one person that wishes to address the council tonight, and that's Kristen Hausengay from the Clinton Substance Abuse Council.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Welcome back, yes.
Thank you. May I pass these
Sure.
around?
Why don't you give them to the captain?
Thank you so much for having me back on such short notice. Last time, I gave an update on some of the things that were happening in related to the opiate problem that we're having here in our community and nationwide. As an update, we've had 24, or the fire department's had 24 saves so far this year, which if that will put us 25% higher than our last year's numbers if we keep up that path. And I would say those numbers are probably lower. They'll end up higher, unfortunately. So letting you know the problem's not going away, right? It's probably only, unfortunately, going to get worse. And addiction is a terrible disease. We know a number of ways that we can try to affect this. We shared one of those with you last time, but I think one of the most important things we can do is prevent people from ever starting down this path in the first place. 65% of teens that report starting to use prescription drugs get it from a family or friend. Oftentimes it's out of a medicine cabinet, right? Or sitting right there on somebody's counter or table. So We are encouraging everyone to dispose of their medication properly. It's not a good idea to flush it down the water because we don't want to pollute our waterways, of course. So on Saturday, we'll be having a Clean Out Your Medicine Cabinet event, and that's this flyer that I've handed out. We had those for 5 years, starting in 2008. And then in 2013, permanent medication boxes were installed in all police departments and the sheriff's office in Clinton County. We just wanted to do this to bring additional awareness to the community about this issue. And I will share with you, since 2008, collecting medication, over 6,300 pounds of medication have been collected and destroyed. So it's a significant amount, and we're just scratching the surface, right? So we hope that you all participate and share that information along. And my second thing that I handed out to you all is next week we have an awesome opportunity to partner with the Iowa Office of Drug Control Policy, Partnership for a Drug-Free Iowa, Iowa National Guard, and U.S. Department of Justice to have a listening post or 2 listening posts in Clinton County about substance abuse related issues. So I'd like to invite you all to that as well. And I'll have those flyers that's open to the public, whoever would like to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to address the council tonight? Hearing none, we will move on to the consent agenda. Councilmember Allison.
Your Honor, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented on the attachment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Member Seeley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd just like to pull 5 and 11.
Anyone else? Okay, could we have a roll call vote? That's a tongue twister tonight. On the balance of the consent agenda, please.
Councilmember O'Neill,
Yes.
Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
yes,
Allison,
Yes.
Connell.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move to motions, resolutions, and ordinances. Councilmember Allison.
Your Honor, I move that we receive, approve, and place on file the claims.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember McGraw,
yes,
Allison,
Yes.
Connell,
Abstain.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Seeley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution supporting participating in the Clinton County Keep Iowa Beautiful Hometown Pride program. I move this resolution be adopted as presented.
I second it.
We have a second. Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Allison,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw.
Yes,
Thank you. Councilmember Allison.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving amendment to Green Clay Master Park Plan Study. I move this resolution be adopted as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Seeley.
Is from what I understood that the Friends of Riverview Park volunteered to pay for the additional survey, and I think that's awesome, so just like to thank them for that.
Councilmember O'Neill.
From what I understand, they're gonna do a survey of 15,000 people.
3,000.
3,000?
Yep.
Is there a method to how they're gonna be chosen, or?
They randomly select, yeah, and then what they're hoping is they typically average 10% back, so they're hoping to get 300. And those 300-ish responses will balance out those that actually attended the Green Play consortiums to talk and discuss what things that they'd like to see in the parks.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Could we have roll call then, please?
Councilmember O'Neill,
Yes.
Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
yes,
Allison,
Yes.
Connell.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Allison.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving memorandum of record to Grain Management for preparation of the easement agreement for cell tower site extension grain tower number 2055-IA-021101. I move this resolution be adopted as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
yes,
Allison,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember McGraw.
thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution setting public hearing on the proposed amendment to the FY 2016-2017 city operating budget. I move that the resolution be accepted as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Councilmember O'Neill.
What are we amending? No.
Good evening, Nita Dalton, Finance Director. I included a summary of it in the weekly report that was sent out yesterday, but I can just highlight it for you if you'd like to.
The CIP stuff and then the city.
Nope, the CIP stuff is a memo that was sent out last week with the packet for the council meeting. But there's expenditures of the general fund. Did you want me to go through it, or did you see the weekly report that was sent yesterday? Okay. There's general fund expenditures of approximately $262,000. In the Parks Department, there's $88,000. In the Recreation Department, there's $42,000. Most of those are comprised of building maintenance expenditures for the Parks Department, and Recreation was a salary line item that was just not budgeted properly for the fiscal year 17 budget. In the city administrator's budget, there was $57,000 that I'm proposing for an amendment, and that would be to cover additional expenses that we had this year for location of a city administrator. Government buildings, $40,000. The city clerk, I'm just going over this at a high level. There will be, it'll be published in the paper, so you'll be able to see the line items. I mean, if I can draw your attention to a couple of weeks ago when we had the state auditors here going through the budget and how they talked about the amendment, and a lot of these are expenditures that we've already spent, and then it's also looking at the crystal ball, you know, trying to project what it's going to be when we do that accrual for that 13th month, you know, to capture the expenditures in the fiscal year. So it's mostly monies that have already been spent, that have already exceeded budget, that have already gone through council meetings on claims listings. It's just really an attempt to avoid that audit comment.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comment? Could we have roll call then, please?
Councilmember Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Connell.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution fixing a date for a meeting on the authorization of a loan agreement and the issuance of a not to exceed $500,000 general obligation capital loan notes of the City of Clinton, State of Iowa, for general corporate purposes, and providing for publication of notice thereof. I move this resolution be adopted as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have, Councilmember Seeley.
I have a couple questions on this, and I'll need Anita probably. I was just, when I was reading the resolution, is it right, 9% interest rate, not to exceed 9% interest rate?
I'm not sure if that's language in the resolution. What we've been seeing is, you know, they might call that out in the sale, that they wouldn't then accept an offer from a bidder that would be greater than 9%.
Okay.
But we're seeing, you know, 1.9 and up to
Okay.
2.1 percentage points.
It's in here as language.
Yeah.
I didn't know if there was a difference between the essential and general corporate purpose bonding.
There is,
the
and that's
interest
why it's
rates.
separated. There's two resolutions for it. They take
Okay.
our list of projects and they determine some of them to be essential corporate purpose and the others to be general corporate purpose.
Okay.
But
Now-
in total, the total borrowing is $10,065,450.
Okay. Now, and this list includes both the general and essential.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Yep, I did not, I didn't break it out. I can if you would like
No,
that later to.
Do you know off the top of your head which ones
Oh,
are gonna be
shoot.
for,
Essential corporate
this
so
would
the-
be, we're on the general right now, right? Yeah, the smaller 500 is the
Mhm.
general.
That might be the easier, there'd be less items.
Yeah, it should be easier.
Right, it's $500,000, right?
Yes. I think the pool improvements are in there, perhaps the police department stuff, recreational stuff, does that sound right?
I can go get that definition.
It
I've
vaguely says some
yeah.
things in the resolution
Yeah,
here.
I've provided it before. Basically, it comes down to if you have over a certain level of one of them, you can't just approve it as this governing body. There has to be a referendum vote to
Okay.
approve the borrowing. But it does enumerate what they are, and
Okay.
I brought a whole bunch of stuff, but not that.
I
But I can go get that
apologize.
if you would like.
I didn't put it together, and I thought this list was the $10 million, general obligation bond, not the 500, and then all of a sudden I figured out that it included
It's
both.
included it, yeah.
Okay. I don't know, is it necessary?
Well, yeah, I guess I'd like to know what we're spending $10 million on.
Well, that's the next one.
for essential.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's the recreational stuff. And
Well, in the actual section 1, it says it's to pay for improvements to city facilities, including city storage and police department facility improvement, improvements in equipment, city pool and recreation facility, and shall be interested at a rate not to exceed that amount attached. So
Yeah.
it's a smaller amount, and isn't some of that, whether it's tax-free or taxable too? Isn't that one of those?
No, it's more about how it can be approved.
Okay.
I don't have the list committed to memory, but I know that,
Yeah.
the list of items that appear
Certain
in.
things can't go
a-
over 750,000.
Right, that are a definition of essential versus general.
And at one time, I know there was something about something could be tax-free.
Yep, it's $700,000 is, it can't exceed the $700,000.
What's the difference how they're approved?
When the,
If it's over 750, we'd have to go out for a referendum.
Right.
Certain items require a referendum.
What if it comes under this essential,
But
you
it
don't,
does- it
you don't
does-
have, you don't
the
have to have the
defini-
referendum?
The definition doesn't for those particular types of items. 'Cause, like the storage facility, that's a building. I think buildings is one of them that we have to, if we go over 750, that we have to actually go out for a referendum.
yeah, the last time we did last fall when we did the bonding for, the general obligation that would have included the CIP list and just the request by the departments, it was broken apart also then as essential, and I had provided the definition, and I did not do that this time, so shame on me.
So, some of the items on the $10 million bond issue for essential corporate purpose don't necessarily need the $750 referendum. They don't need a referendum. They just-
Correct. You as the governing body can approve it. If it falls in the parameters or the definition of the general corporate purpose, the items cannot exceed $700,000, and that's when a referendum would be required.
for
So
an
they-
item that exceeds 700,000?
The total borrowing.
That's in the,
Fund item.
that's in the general corporate purpose, but essential corporate purpose, even if it's 750, over 750, you don't necessarily need the referendum.
Correct. Right.
So
And that's what,
if you deem building a gigantic Ferris wheel out on the west side of town as a general
right.
or essential corporate purpose, we could build
We're
a
gonna.
$1 million
Good luck,
Ferris
that will
wheel.
never fly.
without-
Right, but we don't determine that it's general versus corporate. There's a definition of items.
Okay.
The bond council took our list, separated it into general versus essential, and provided these resolutions. It's
We've done this
all
before. It's-
incorporated into this list,
We've
yeah.
done some-
And I'd be happy tomorrow, I'd be happy now, if you wanna wait, I'll run downstairs and get the definition.
All we're doing is actually setting the public hearing.
Correct.
So it's gonna come back to the council
Yep.
again.
But at that time, I'd like to.
Sure, yes, I'll bring
A
that
little bit
then.
more finite about how we're gonna spend $10 million.
Yep, but to Cody's point, there's two resolutions here, all for the same list of items that the memo went out last week. You also saw the same list, there's been no changes to it. This is what went through the fiscal year 18 budget process.
Okay. Now, do these need to, I know there's some items on here pertaining to sewer projects and stuff. Do these need to move forward tonight then?
No, this is setting the public hearing for all of it.
But do we need to move forward with that public hearing tonight?
We can't,
We can't.
we have to set the public hearing and have it at another
Okay.
council. We have to have a meeting and set the public hearing, then it has to be published, and then we have the public hearing at the next council meeting.
I guess by the time we're all said and done with all this, is there a chance to modify it? If we set the public hearing for $10 million, let's say the council decides 2 projects need removed, we actually only borrow $9 million.
That would be discussed at the meeting where we're actually having the public hearing.
Okay.
When you go to approve the actual borrowing.
Okay.
Because there will be that motion to approve the actual borrowing of the money.
There's like 3 steps to this. The
Okay.
first is set the public hearing, convene the public hearing, and then a resolution for, accepting the
Same
bid.
as what we did tonight for demolition.
Yeah.
Last meeting, we set the public hearings to have all these public hearings
Yeah.
for demolition. So we had a public hearing.
Yep.
We entered it into the record. Then there's a motion to actually do something once we've had the public hearing, which at that time, that is where your discussion is, if you wanna change something that's in it.
Okay. Yeah, and Anita's knows why I'm asking, cause I was quizzing her all day, but, I'm concerned with some of the borrowing and just our level of debt and our debt capacity, and there's some items I have in question. So I didn't know if now is the time to be discussing those, or.
Can I read the schedule off to you?
Yeah.
So, April 25th, which is today, we set the public hearing. On May 2nd, you have the official statement in your council packets. The week of May 8th, we're gonna have a rating call with Moody's. May 9th, hold the public hearing. On June 13th, authorize the final document. So you have up until that point of June 13th to make any changes.
Okay.
Tonight is just setting the public hearing on this
Okay.
proposed borrowing.
Yeah, nothing takes place very quickly, so there's lots of steps.
Well, I knew that, but I didn't know if we needed to have any modifications set in stone tonight before we went forward with the rest of it.
No.
Okay, perfect.
But
This is kinda like one of those things, we set the max of what it's gonna be is
Yeah.
$10 million.
Well, and that was my question.
It-
If we set it at 10, can we
It can be
decide?
less, but it couldn't be higher.
Couldn't be more.
Right, same as
Okay.
doing the budget, we can have it higher, we publish it, when it
Okay.
comes, actually, you can lower it, but you can never go higher than what you actually set it
That
at.
makes complete sense. Perfect. Well, I feel better. I wish someone would told me that earlier.
You just need to ask.
I don't believe you asked that question earlier.
You have to ask the right question to get the answer you want.
Alright.
I think the concern is probably the same I have, is that once you get it in this essential corporate purpose, you lose that safety net of forcing a referendum, and if people, whether the public wants it or not, because if you come up and say, this is essential corporate purpose, you don't get to have a referendum. And so, once it's in that,
Well, I'm gonna stop you, because there is actually, with the home rule charter, the public has the option of the reverse referendum.
yeah,
But
but
that-
they gotta take the
They have to,
backdoor way of doing it.
they have
right.
to take the steps to do it, but that's what the home rule does allow for, is the
Right.
reverse referendum.
But not having an essential corporate purpose, then you have to force the issue of having a referendum where the people get to voice their opinion. I guess that's where you lose that safety net. Okay, I'm good.
Okay, so are there any other questions?
No, so I can approve this knowing
We're
that
not-
there's
we're not
further
doing anything.
discussion to be had. All
There's
right.
lots more discussion, there's
All right.
nothing,
Yes,
all we're doing is setting a date to have a public hearing.
Rock on.
Oh, can I just address what Councilmember O'Neill said? So setting the public hearing, this is giving the citizens of our community the opportunity to voice their opinion on whether or not they think the council, so they still have a voice. Pat Van Loo sits there and says, have we heard anything in the clerk's, or the mayor says, have we heard anything in the clerk's office? And Pat Van Loo says, no, we have not, Your Honor. That's where someone has the opportunity to come in and say, I don't think the city should do this, so.
So, yeah, we do, that's what the purpose of the public hearing, if somebody wants to object, they need to come forward.
Okay.
Okay, have we killed that resolution enough? All we wanted to do is set a date. I hear no more discussion, so could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes,
Okay, Councilmember O'Neill, we're gonna set another date.
okay.
Don't forget it.
This is a
Trying to
bigger
tell me
one.
something, Mayor? Thank you, Mayor. I have a resolution fixing a date for a meeting on the authorization of a loan agreement and the issuance of not to exceed $10 million general obligation capital loan notes of the City of Clinton, State of Iowa for essential corporate purposes and providing for publication of notice thereof. I move this resolution be adopted as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or any questions?
There will be more discussion
At another time.
at another time.
Hearing none, could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes our motions, resolutions, and ordinances for tonight, so we will move to unfinished business, of which we have two items. So the first one is number 5, Councilmember Seeley.
Apparently tonight's my night to talk, I guess. So. First off, I want to thank the Tree Commission for their hard work. When I was reading through everything, I noticed in their notes they discussed Liberty Square. I just wanted to call attention to this because they kind of discussed seeding it with the prairie grass or something of that nature. Cedar Rapids has done some things like that, and possibly cutting down on some of our maintenance costs in that area. That's something that the former city administrator and I talked about last year, and I think it's something we should definitely look into. We spent a lot of money mowing down there and maintaining that area, and if we can jazz it up with some prairie flowers and possibly also have some green space, I think it would be to our benefit. So I'd like to see this continue to move forward. So it was nice to see that, though. That's all I got.
Yeah, now would you like to?
Oh, I'll make the motion to approve it. Yep.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? Could we have roll call then, please?
Councilmember Allison?
Yes?
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw.
Yes.
Thank you. And then the other item is number 11, Councilmember Seeley.
Thank you, Your Honor. This has to do with the bridges, and it's kind of a Jason question. On the report, it noted a bridge that the city of Clinton considers a private bridge.
Right.
And I'm just trying to figure out why we're inspecting private bridges.
Excuse me. We can stop. It used to be on the list.
Okay.
So it's not a very expensive thing to inspect a bridge. We have to have a licensed structural engineer do this, which I'm not. So we procure the services of Calhoun and Burns, which is similar to what most counties and cities do. Use a small structural firm such as that. And so on this bridge, I'll first let you know how much it does cost.
You've got 10.
About $800. That's about an $800 inspection to come and inspect that. It's a fracture critical bridge, which just means if one of the pieces of the truss is fractured,
Okay.
then it's possible that if the bridge is overloaded, that it'll just come crashing down.
Is this
There's not a lot of redundancy in that. So it's the bridge on Beaver Channel Parkway. At the end of the parkway, is that what's called Beaver Channel
Yeah.
Parkway? So to the left is the old treatment plant, and
Yep.
then you cross Mill Creek onto Alliance property.
Yep.
So several years ago, we had a meeting with Alliant to tell them that we, according to our records, we thought that this was their bridge. Now they think that it may be their bridge. I don't think anyone's declared ownership of it, but we, as the city, the government, that I think has in mind the safety of everyone that goes over that bridge, as does Alliant, said at that time, and it was a staff decision. We just made the decision that we would keep inspecting it, and if there was a need to fix, repair, or replace the bridge, then we would have to have that discussion again, and most likely it would be Alliant that would replace that bridge. So.
what if?
Yeah, if you want, we don't
It's-
have to inspect.
Nobody uses. Do we use it at all? The city.
What do you mean we?
The city. Like, does the city need it to get to the old treatment to get?
The
anywhere?
only citizens that need that are those that access the Alliant property.
Okay, because it's not a public right of way. It's private ground.
Absolutely not. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
see why we would inspect
I
it either,
guess-
except for we were just trying to sort of play nice. You know, and $800 a year didn't seem like a big deal at the time.
Yeah. Well,
But
I just
perhaps
saw it
that
and I'm
wasn't a
like,
discussion
wow.
I should have been having.
Yeah. Well, I guess one thing that concerns me is if we're paying to have it inspected, are we?
Right.
Is there some sort of perceived ownership of the city?
No.
In the event that bridge fails, the city's been inspecting it all along. They obviously own it. They wouldn't inspect it otherwise.
Well, I don't know that that's a really good argument. I mean, at the time we talked to the city attorney. He was involved in the discussion, not the current
Not
city attorney.
me.
Was drafted him a letter I can provide you, says, hey, we don't own this bridge. And they're like, oh, well, maybe we do. Do you mind inspecting it anyway? And we're like, okay, sure. You know, that's just how the discussion went. Very informal. But by all means, I could care less. We can just not inspect it.
Well, do
It's
they
not a
need
big
to
deal.
have it inspected, and when they just pay their share of the inspection? The $800?
Yeah, I'm sure they wouldn't mind.
I mean, if they use it and need it,
Yeah.
it's probably gonna be less expensive for them to have us.
Wow, man, you should have been in that meeting, because
Yeah.
that meeting, I'll tell you what, that was like 8 hours, and then at the end, we're like, well, nobody decided anything. So it was just a very, like, unproductive, and sometimes those meetings occur, so.
Well,
mean,
I think we
we
should
can get
look
into a
this,
song and dance again, or whatever.
Get the ownership issue resolved, and
Sure,
perhaps
that's resolved, though. We don't own the
we don't
bridge.
own it,
Right.
so we probably don't need to inspect it then, unless maybe we could contact them and say, hey, you wanna give us $800, we'll have them inspect it when they do the rest of ours.
That's possible.
Is that a possibility?
Whatever.
Oh,
Why
there's
not?
more, alright.
Jason, it looks like we're doing other bridges though too, right?
We inspect all of our bridges, and this was one that, heck if I know why we started inspecting it. That bridge has been there a lot longer than me, and, I think it was built in, possibly 80 years ago or something like that, so at one time, I'm not sure who built the bridge, but how we got to be starting to inspect it, but we're like, well, I guess no one's complained about it, let's just keep inspecting.
It's not the right attitude.
Yeah, it's not really, truthfully, I apologize, but
Yeah.
But I was not even, at the time in that meeting, I think there was a city administrator, Jeff Horn, and Farwell, and maybe even Shell Horn. I mean, there was like people that were like getting paid more money than me, so I was just like, I'm just trying to make sure we should inspect this or not, you know? I didn't tell them we own the bridge, Cody, don't worry about that.
Let's ask another question. Councilmember O'Neill?
Thank you, Your Honor. I think Councilman Seeley touched on a point that kind of got my attention. If we're inspecting this and saying we're paying for it and we're inspecting it and say it's okay, and the next day ADM drives a truck across and it collapses and their driver gets killed, we're gonna be culpable. I mean, somebody's gonna sue us because we inspected and said it was okay. I would just rather walk away from that deal and let them pay the $800. I don't mind if they use because they're here, but I'd like them to get a separate bill for $800 and pull this one right off of there.
Sounds good to me. I'll let them know tomorrow.
Well, I think my colleagues might have to vote on it.
Well, I mean,
This is
no, because I think we would have to come back to a different meeting to
Yeah, 'cause we're just
get that out of to clean the agreement up, you know?
Is that
Because
what
I
we
don't want
wanna
it's pretty
do?
messy. That's
We wanna have Matt and Jason fix this and bring it back to us then?
Can we just amend it as it is?
well, there's all
With,
this
re-
other
with, the,
language.
with
in
bridge
the-
number 20 removed?
Okay, we could do that too.
Is that the best course of action?
Well, there's no real hurry. Like 2 weeks from now,
Well, do we wanna remove this though, if they're gonna agree to pay their share of the cost, and then these guys are just gonna cause it's gonna be less expensive for them to do all these bridges at
Right.
once versus them just to hire them.
yeah, either way, but I would just recommend if you want to change it, that we wait a couple weeks because these people aren't going to be out here within the next 2 weeks wanting to inspect anything, so.
Yeah, I don't mind them using the convenience of having the people here, but I think
Yeah.
they should have
Jay-
a separate bill for their $800.
Jason has a question. Bridge structures, are they required to be inspected on a regular basis?
Yeah, that's why we do it. Well,
Okay.
we do it because we should, but I mean, we
Okay.
do it on a regular,
But
scheduled
is there
12-month
actually-
program.
is there actually rules published or stated somewhere that bridges need a regular?
Federal law.
Okay, so if we're not doing it, then Alliance should be doing it because they have a bridge.
Well, if it's not a public bridge, I don't know if that really applies. So it's not.
Well, I just asked about if it's a bridge. We're-
Public bridges are only that I'm aware of. You know, that's all we do. So
Okay.
I would think that we could talk to Alliant and get back to you in 2 weeks because it's their bridge. We don't have to inspect it. I mean, and why
So would you like to make a recommendation that this be sent back to the engineer for further discussion with Alliance?
Is that fine?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yes, I'll make that recommendation. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Did you want to make that as a motion that we do that?
Yep, that is my motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to send it back, and we don't have any more discussion, so could we have roll call on that, please?
Councilmember McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, that kind of finished our unfinished business, some to be brought back at a later time.
Yep.
We will move on to Councilmember Allison.
Your Honor, I move to adjourn to 7 PM, May 9th, 2017.
Second.
We We have a motion and a second. Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember O'Neill,
Yes.
Seelig,
Yes.
McGraw,
Yes.
Halsey,
Yes.
Connell.
Yes.
We are adjourned. Thank you. And we will move immediately into the Clinton City Council Committee of the Whole for April 25th. I will call that meeting to order, and whenever Pat is ready, we will have roll call.
Councilmember Seelig,
Here?
McGraw,
Yes, here.
Halsey,
Here?
Connell,
Here.
O'Neill.
Here.
Thank you.
There's three.
And we'll wait till
These are mine.
we get everything handed out here. We'll need to get started.
Oh, this is the bonding stuff?
Which one? Them are mine. Now, which one didn't you get?
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
Give me all.
Yeah, this isn't pertaining to the next topic on the agenda, so we'll just wait for
Oh, these two are alike.
It is not?
no.
I thought it was
related to
for,
bonding.
for our discussion.
Okay, okay, so let's get started with the committee of the whole. So we'll do item number 1, the insurance update. Matt?
Sure, I'd like to take the opportunity to have AC Root and their crew that's here. We thank you for coming. Julie Bray will provide us a in-depth update on property, liability, and workers' comp. And if you all give us just a second, we'll get all the stuff running.
These two go together, but I don't know what this
This must be from the,
Yeah, yes. It's the definition of an essential corporate purpose.
Matt? Not sure that's on. Mhm.
And we'll start after my intro.
Ready?
Matt, did you maximize that iris on the projector to make sure that it's as bright as we can get it? There you go.
Well, first I was gonna do the introductions and start, yep. Honorable Mayor, council members, and city administrator. I'm Julie Bray, the owner of AC Root Agency, and we handle the city of Clinton's insurance needs. AC Root was founded in 1854 and is the oldest business in the city of Clinton. I would like to tell you a little bit about our agency and explain where we have your assets protected. Our agency is a 5-generation agency, and John Root passed away June of last year. I had the privilege of buying into the agency in 2005. I've worked for the agency for 28 years, and I'm a certified insurance service representative and public risk management member working towards a public risk management designation. Our staff is made up of Justin, our newest employee, Jennifer, 8 years licensed in personal lines and accounts payable. Wendy and Rhonda both have worked for the agency 15 years each and are licensed in personal and commercial lines and are certified insurance representatives as well. We are 75% commercial insurance and 25% personal lines. We are fortunate enough to insure Clinton County, Clinton Emergency Management, E911, Communications, Clinton Conference Board, Clinton Community School District. Insuring public entities is our specialty. I'd like to show you a quick slideshow that will show you only some of the buildings outside electrical panels and lights that the city of Clinton owns. So now if you'll kill the lights. These have basically been taken since 2015. We went out with Cincinnati Insurance and basically inspected a number of pieces of property. We're getting there.
Got a lot of good pictures.
Yeah. And then it starts through again.
You're not gonna challenge them, you know, and to be able to hit every one of those like I did in the first 71 days.
I know.
Thanks to my great staff.
Yes, you've definitely been busy. As you can see by the PowerPoint, the City of Clinton has a lot of things to insure. I would like to give you a history and a background of who the providers are that give you the very best value for your coverage. Cincinnati Insurance covers all buildings, contents, fences, playground equipment, decorative lights, traffic signals, tables, benches, fountains, electrical boxes, generators, commercial equipment, mowers, fireboat, docks, signs, etc. Cincinnati is based in Fairfield, Ohio, and they insure unique risks. Their company slogan is "Everything Insurance Should Be." They believe that locally based agents have the relationships in their communities that lead to satisfied, loyal policyholders. Their insurance adjusters who handle the claims for the City of Clinton live within a 45-minute travel area. They take action to respond to the agents and policyholders quickly and personally. Your current deductible for property is $1,000. We feel this is where the city deductible should be. I have checked with various other cities for price comparison, and the price depends on the type of exposure, building construction codes, protection class, and the age of the buildings. Dubuque happened to be with Cincinnati, and they went out for an RFP a few years ago. Travelers was cheaper than Cincinnati, and after 2 years, due to a couple of losses, they then non-renewed them, and Cincinnati quoted more than the old expiring policy, and ICAP ended up insuring them, and they are currently paying more than they were when they were with Cincinnati due to building inspections. Dubuque has also a $75,000 deductible. Ottumwa has a $1,000 deductible. Bettendorf has a $25,000 deductible. Marshalltown, $10,000. ICAP also recently did building evaluations for any building over $100,000. And in April of next year, the property values are increasing by $40 million for Marshalltown. Deductibles vary based on the insured's preference. In 2015, I checked a $10,000 deductible for the City of Clinton, and it saved $10,000 a year. I discussed it with the administrator, and we chose to stay at the $1,000 deductible. The county and the school both remain at a $1,000 deductible as well. Some carriers do not want to insure items like the docks and the fireboat, which are unique to insure. The city also has historical type buildings, which are more difficult to insure. The wastewater treatment plant has a lot of electronics now and is more costly to repair. The main exposures for property loss are wind, hail, lightning, and fire. Clinton has been very fortunate with claims due to weather. So far, Iowa has had 19 tornadoes this year, an average of 55 a year since 2012. Tornado reports for 2017 are the highest they have been in the last 5 years across the United States. Locally, Eastern Iowa Propane lost part of a 3-sided shed, and it was $50,000 to repair. Beckwith also had a storage shed fire, and it will be $70,000 to replace. When storm damage does happen, it is extremely costly. Now on to exciting liability and vehicle coverage. ICAP covers the City of Clinton's vehicles and all liability, both for autos and general liability. ICAP stands for Iowa Community Assurance Pool. ICAP was formed in the mid-1980s because Iowa public entities like yourself needed relief from the restrictive coverages, high prices, and non-renewal from the traditional insurance carriers. Clinton was the 18th city to join ICAP in 1987 and is one of the founding members. ICAP is not an insurance company, it is an insurance pool. ICAP offers full replacement cost on fire trucks, with the ladder trucks at $1 million each, including equipment, and ambulances costing on an average of $203,000 each. This replacement cost is rare coverage, but valuable to have since the vehicles are so costly. The member-owned pool provides coverage for nearly 800 Iowa public entities and is acclaimed for broad coverage and outstanding member services. ICAP is endorsed by the Iowa League of Cities. Since 2007, the cumulative reserve fund has been returned to its members. Clinton's paybacks averaged $35,000 over the last 5 years in reserve fund returns. The total insurance value of your vehicles is $17,077,858 for physical damage, which covers 161 vehicles, and $7 million auto liability and $7 million general liability, including cyber liability, public officials, wrongful acts, and legal liability for law enforcement claims, to name a few. This is the carrier that protects the city administrator, the mayor, the council members, and any liability lawsuit against the city of Clinton. Lastly is the carrier that protects the city's employees. IMWCA, Iowa Municipal Workers' Comp Association, is the workers' compensation provider. IMWCA was formed in 1981 with the initial effort to organize was coordinated by the Iowa League of Cities in response to numerous cities having their coverage canceled by standard insurance carriers. Today, the predominant number of cities, counties, and other government organizations in Iowa choose IMWCA for coverage of more than 49,000 employees. Clinton has 166 full-time employees, 43 permanent part-time, and 17 temporary part-time that are covered under this policy. Our agency has the city of Clinton in each one of these carriers because of the specific need each one of them provides for your protection. It is our job to properly protect the city of Clinton's taxpayers' money. Insurance has drastically changed over the last 10 years. The carriers are sending out appraisal companies to assist with the property valuation reviews. ICAP has sent out appraisals for buildings valued over $100,000. The valuation program resulted in discovering millions of uninsured and underinsured property in just the first year of service. It is nothing that the agents are doing dishonestly, it's just the price of everything has escalated. Recently, sprinklers and alarms were installed to Central and Lyons Fire Station. Central Fire cost $72,578, Lyons cost $53,065. These figures need to be added to the insurance value of that building. However, it will drop the rate of the insurance because it is a safer building. The 19th Avenue North traffic signals are $200,000, including the $60,000 silver junction box at the intersection. The city has 50 traffic signal intersections at $200,000 each. That's $10 million. The new generator on the dike is $378 after all non-insurance items were deducted. The 25th Avenue North generator is $302,000 to insure. The lodge has been beautifully renovated and is currently insured for $1.7 million. We increased the lodge coverage by $1 million in 2016 due to improvements. In 1966, the lodge was insured for $44,803. As you can see, times have definitely changed. Our agency works hard to provide excellent service for the city with a close working relationship with both the city administrator, finance director, Roberta, who handles claims, and all department heads. We have open communication. Our agency continually refines the cost and checks with other towns to make sure we're in line, both pricing and coverage-wise. Our team works to properly protect the people, places, and the things the city of Clinton owns on behalf of its taxpayers. A city insurance policy is a complex piece of insurance to write, and due to the sheer volume of items, it does change from year to year. We have insured the city since 1991 and look forward to continuing our great relationship for many years to come. Any questions? I'd be happy to answer. I need a Pepsi. I know.
How many slides did you have there? 100?
Well, Rhonda was there. 242. So,
We have more than what you realize in this building.
yeah, you just
Well-
don't even realize until
and
you go out.
I think there was a time where we just didn't cover a lot of stuff that we had because we just didn't know it, or we just didn't have the money to do it.
Well, and you've added a lot of generators, and then the
That was
sanitary
my next
pumping
question
stations.
I was gonna ask. I think at every pump station, we got a generator. Every fire station, we got one of those great big cat generators. So,
Every fire station, the police department, Homeland Security,
So that's what has caused the jump over the last couple of years.
Well, and we got a $70 million water plant, we got $1 million out at Eagle Point Lodge, so I guess I'm not surprised that, you know, if we don't wanna cover it, that'd be rather moronic, but, you know.
Right, and I mean, it's the $1 million question, to where that's where we pride ourselves. We don't just guess. To where I hound these poor department heads, and I get the printouts, and then I take out the insurance. They can contest all that. To where they have my cell phone, I have their cell phone. To where those generators, they vary. The city halls is 65,000, but some of these are 150, 300,000. So they're just all over the place. Pumping stations are averaging $2 million. And you have several of them, like 24 to be exact, between the sanitation and the pump stations. So,
Still got Basin 6.
and I'm confident in this. Is it perfect? Am I missing something? No guarantees. But it was actually Lynn McGraw's sister Jolene and myself who went out on Father's Day in 2015 and took a majority of those pictures, because you just, I mean, you obviously cannot insure Eagle Point Lodge for $44,000, and it was what it would have been cost new about 1959.
Well, some of the things that were on there that you mentioned, I guess I had questions on, I jotted down. The police department, we rent
We don't
that,
own the building.
but we pay the insurance.
Well, not on the building, just on betterments and improvements and the contents of
Okay.
that
It'd be
building.
like a renter's policy.
Yep.
Okay, and the Lumber King Field, the baseball
The
team?
Lumber King
own it.
Field, you own that
own it.
building. So all those buildings you own, and the fencing, but not the contents.
But the Lumber Kings don't cover any of the insurance.
They cover their contents, like
Okay.
Yeah.
in reverse.
And I don't wanna start World War III, but why are we in a triple net lease, and we've got places we lease out that we're paying the insurance on?
That's a whole nother discussion for another
Okay,
time.
well,
I agree with you.
I'm asking the questions that it seems like, you know, on one side of the coin, we're stuck in the mud, on the other side of the coin, we're not, and then so I'm not advocating one way or the other, but I think, you know, we're on the downside on both flips of the coin, so I think maybe we need to get some kind of idea what we wanna do there. And there was, the train depot, I
Yes.
thought that was belonged to the J.C.'s.
Well, so did I, until 2 years ago when it was discovered it is the city of Clinton's. So, that's why. It's always been referred to as the Clinton J.C.'s, but look at the city assessor's website, that was quite a shock for police.
They restored it, but I think, and moved it, but we wound up owning it.
Yep. And the same way with the showboat. The lights, or the sign, we just added that too. It wasn't, for some reason, didn't show up on the pictures, but we did add that.
And how much did we get back from ICAP pool?
Well, ICAP is different, that's,
No, I mean, how much we've been paid back out of the pool for?
they averaged 33,000, hang on a minute. They did it, the reserve fund, back 5 times, so the last one was like 55,000, but overall 5 times averaged, the 33,000 each time.
So how much do we have in our actual pool with them?
Well, I don't know, that, I mean, they just, it's all of the cities and counties in the pool, so they never report
What the
back.
city of Clinton does have, if they were to leave, they have money in that pool that they would take
Right.
with them for their claims, correct?
But-
Potential claims.
But the problem with ICAP is if you leave, you take any open and unknown claims with you.
We don't have
the
any
lawyer-
open claims right now, I don't think, at this point, but, right?
Yes,
We do.
Yeah, you have claims.
we almost always do. I
Yeah.
would say also, that is an extremely well-run
Yes.
organization.
I was
The
gonna give you,
adjusters that I work with are just much, much better than adjusters I work with in other companies.
Do you have
It's
to be a
just
broker to go through
Uncanny
ICAP?
how good they are, really.
No, I'm not a broker, I'm an insurance agent.
So you go through a broker to get to ICAP,
No.
essentially?
no.
No.
Just
I'm
any
insur-
agency can do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna give you a tad bit of history for those that aren't old enough to know about ICAP here. We one time had a finance director, city clerk treasurer actually was the title, named Jody Smith, which some of you may not know. He's now retired. He believed that the cities should be self-insured because insurance rates were getting so out of hand. he went to, West Des Moines, and he became the, one of the head of the board of ICAP. He was one of the, he just retired recently from it. But Clinton, Iowa was one of the charter members. We're one of the first 20. We're number 18.
Yep.
And that charter membership means something that people don't realize. They can't drop us. That was
Yeah.
one of the agreements that.
I mean, their whole,
We took a risk moving to ICAP because it was like something that was,
New.
you know, we formed it up basically by putting money into a pool. And the charter members will not be dropped for claims. But if we leave them, they don't take us back.
yeah, I mean, that's with any insurance company, it's harder.
So, yeah, so it's kind of we can stay there. We've had bad years where we've had a lot of claims.
Oh, yeah, at
Yeah.
one time, a few years ago, you had 14 open lawsuits.
But it's one of those things of, to move out of ICAP, we're taking a terrible risk because, we won't be able to go back to them again.
And in ICAP, premium-wise, in 2012, you paid $394,000, 2013, $413,000. Last year was $363,000. So, I mean, it goes all over depending upon, how many vehicles you have, you know, and that replacement cost with those fire trucks and those ambulances are just huge.
Wasn't ICAP pretty instrumental in getting us to get our workman's comp claims way
Well, that's
down?
IM.
Well, IMWCA, but they work hand in hand
Yeah,
together,
okay.
yes. IMWCA, is real close to ICAP.
That's where we came up with the safety director. for
Yes.
that program.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And several years ago, I wrote several letters requesting them to lower some of our
Right.
surcharges.
Right,
because
to
we were-
waive
we-
them, cause sometimes your mod was so bad
Yeah.
that they had to make an exception, so the mayor or the city administrator at times had to write for variance. And they did honor them all the time. And in 2012 with the workers' comp, you paid $299,000. This year for 16, it was $134,000. A lot has to do with A, payroll, cause you cut back employees, and B, the mod. We're working very hard on that mod.
What do we have the fireboat insured for?
What's that?
The fireboat, what's it insured
Oh,
for?
the fireboat is insured for $493,000.
And it earned every bit of it the other day.
Yeah, I saw that with the railroad bridge.
We're gonna get you an update on that.
Okay.
So who reviews, the insurance? Like, you've probably got other brokers besides Cincinnati, I'm assuming.
Right.
Who reviews that pricing?
What's that?
Who reviews that pricing?
With the city administrators, in the past, every year we review it.
Okay.
And the city administrator, though, prior to Jessica, they always, Jeff Horn too, pawned me off to the city, finance director.
Okay.
So then when Jessica was the finance director, we worked hand in hand. Then she kept us and worked with the renewals. And then now this year, it's Matt and Anita.
So are you going out for RFP every year on our stuff?
We go out we send it to Allied or, you know, other carriers to see. But the problem with pricing with this type of entity, they know the price. So of course they will beat it. So then what I do with Cincinnati is
That's
tell.
a good thing, though.
Yes and no, you
Right.
can't bounce, otherwise you end up being like Dubuque. They thought it was great to go to Travelers, so now they're paying more because they left for 2 years and had a couple claims. And keep in mind, they had to have some pretty bad claims to have a $75,000 deductible, and Travelers kicked them. So with Cincinnati, they work hand in hand, and then, I mean, you've added a lot of stuff in the last 4 years. I mean, it's just remarkable, the high value. And then, too, with the wastewater treatment plant, it was my understanding when the new one was built, the old one was obsolete. So we were covering one wastewater treatment plant. Well, you guys are still using that one. So that also went back on last year to where it's a blanket policy, which is wonderful for you guys, but you also have to be fair to that carrier. If, like I now know with this, I mean, I had a heart attack driving to work one day and I saw 19th Avenue North. I thought, oh, I better check with Jason. So I said, how much, Jason? 200,000. I'm like going, are you kidding me? How many of those do we have in this town? And he's like 50. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, we're at 5 million. So now ethically I have to tell Cincinnati, because you can't insure half of the lights. And that's not any of the decorative lights.
How much does it cost to insure a roundabout?
Cheaper than lights.
I can't see you at the roundabout.
You don't wanna go there.
No.
Yeah, I do.
Better bring premiums down.
But then too, you've also had some really nice, like in 2016, we added I just pulled pieces here. 2 end loaders, $344,000 each. That's a whole lot to insure.
So your recommendation is to quit buying stuff?
Quit asking questions, cause I keep digging. I mean, it's just amazing. Rotary Park, Rainbow Park, Rotary donated, just simple. It was $44,000 for that playground equipment. That playground equipment is so costly. And then even the tower, at the pool was $893,000 for the splash pad. That's how much that stuff costs. So you have to insure it because a tornado is going to take it down. Then we have the 3 lighthouses. Beautiful riverfront. How much should I insure those for? Cost $21,000 to just paint 3 of them. Right. And I mean, if one went down, I personally say it better go back up. We insure the castle. What can happen to it? Well, it's old limestone. That's what can happen to it. So those big marvelous trees around it can come crashing down on it. So then I called Mason, Gail Reiner, and said, hello, what do I insure this thing for? Oh, God, you couldn't touch it for $350,000. John Totten, oh my God, it better be at $500,000. We'll split the difference. It costs you like $200 a year to insure at $350,000. It's just you have a lot of stuff. And years ago, the reason you've always been with Cincinnati is you had a horrible cash flow. So this renews July 1. We would bill you and not collect money till September, October. This year they say that it won't be an issue. As long as it's not an issue, ICAP will gladly quote it, but I think you will find, which I will find out, but they will be comparable to Cincinnati. It's just how much stuff you have.
Don't you think it's in the city's best interest to go out for RFP every once in a while, though?
Not really. It's not about the price. You get what you pay for.
I mean, how is it not?
Because I guarantee you I go out for a price. That's why you pay me.
But when has that ever been presented to council?
Yes.
How long ago?
In 2009 and 2011.
I've sat through 2 fiscals, and this is the first time, so.
No, 2011.
So that's been a while.
It was 2009 and again 2011.
And here,
I can tell you from my aspect, from my background, for small businesses, it'll kill you. Insurance is, you talk to any broker, it's very expensive. We have a lot of stuff, right? It's in our best interest, in my mind, to try to get the best price available, because we're all paying it.
Yes, and so am I.
So are you. So you would think, boy, we want to get that best dollar, right?
Well, you do.
For what we have.
Otherwise, if you really thought I was just going for the dollar, you guys would be buying flood insurance. Guess what you don't have? Because you have a dike. But City Hall is basically, with a $2.1 million building value, costs the city $8,545 a year. The library at $3.7 million would cost $27,967 for FEMA flood insurance. But you can get away with it because you do have the dike.
Yeah.
But what I would suggest instead of RFP is look at the higher deductibles again. But you have to also be able to afford to pay for the losses if something happens.
Right.
So we actually talked about, what risks do we take on what items, and that's why we're going through line by line on the inventory to say what are we willing to take a risk on if a tower fell down, not that one, but if one did, maybe we don't put it back up. And so then you go with a higher deductible because you don't want to have to pay that out. But there's also some other constraints that we discussed. When you start playing that game and going with higher deductibles, they can come back around and give you other charges as well. So we're constantly looking at, we're trying to squeeze the turnip so we can make sure we get as, at low cost for the turnip juice as we can.
The last 2 budget sessions, this was a big topic. I know it came up several times over and over, and we kept wondering why. We never had any answers, and we were hoping to get, I think, some of those tonight. But I think even last year it was like $190-some thousand is what we were paying on the Cincinnati portion, right?
Hang on.
And it jumped up to 244
Right.
and change. I mean, that's a pretty steep
Increase the
hike.
coverage. We increased the coverage by
Right,
millions
but
of
you
dollars.
add-
But there,
added
without
all
any,
of
I mean,
those-
we didn't have the explanation to that.
Well, no, and
It just got
nobody has
penciled
ever
into a
asked
budget
me.
line item, and so, unless you ask that,
Yeah, nobody's ever asked me to where, well, you
well, then that's a
did
that's a
this year.
failure
That's
in
what brought-
communication, then I would say.
Well, right, and see, that's just it. Nobody has ever asked me to project what it's gonna be for July. I do believe with property rates, they are going down, this year, but last year not so much. And another thing to take into consideration is the economy. When interest rates are so low, these insurance companies have to stay fiscally solvent. So therefore, they charge more on a rate. To where, like I said, I have checked Burlington, I have checked all the others, and even with the school account, those building values are all over $186 per square foot. You know, it just depends. And then you want to talk about building number 45, you're lucky to have insurance on it, but yet you use it, so you still need to have insurance. And I don't know if he has the power or Anita has the power to say, don't insure this, because I can guarantee you I'll be up here in front of you 7 before I ever delete anything.
So just point of clarification, building 45 is up on, the Army place, and we check, and we actually have it pretty much empty right now because we're getting in the process of fixing the roof, but.
And that will be better for and right now it's at an actual cash value. It would be very expensive at replacement cost.
I think one of the things we need to understand, I guess from being in this business a long time ago, is that the agents really don't have, the companies are the ones that, you know, do the bidding on that. And what happened at Dubuque is probably pretty typical of what happens, is that you get these discounts are thrown in for the first couple of years to drop the rate and get the business, and then all of a sudden it moves up, and you wind up generally usually paying more, and you don't a lot of times get as good a coverage. And so the thing with Cincinnati since
91 looks like.
91, yeah, they know our growth, they know what we got, they know how we do business. And so you really got to have something substantial to make it worth your while to take that risk, because and if they move you, if perchance they move you out of ICAP, then you're done. Like the mayor said, you just don't get back in. And that's been during the very, very lean years that probably saved our rear end a couple of times. So, you know, I think if you want to look at raising deductibles or not covering a building or something like that, you know, that may be something that we look at. But I think on a day-to-day basis, you know, and I think Councilman Oder related to it last meeting. You know, we've got Anita there, we got Matt here, they're there every day. If something comes up, if the fire chief says, we're just not gonna use building 42 anymore, but let's just keep it for storage and we wanna drop it off insurance, we'll take a recommendation and act that way. If we're gonna insure something that we just built, obviously we're doing it. But we have compounded this immensely by just the number of generators. And I've noted, you know, I knew we had them at the fire station, but I didn't know we had them at every single pump station. And so, and maybe that stuff slipped by us, and you're right, maybe we didn't ask the right questions.
I've met more with Matt in the last 60 days than I have met ever with any city administrator.
Yeah.
I mean, to where, no, I appreciate that you actually like insurance or understand insurance. Most of us just like, oh my God, we're like dealing with the IRS, and we don't, you know, that's where it falls in our lap.
IRS isn't that bad.
Until they come knocking.
That's my dream job.
Well, and really honestly, it's, you know, from my background, it's all about, you know, personnel, equipment, and you have to know what you have on stock, and we have so many things, and that's one of the things the department heads, you know, keyed me in right away, is you have to know what all our stuff is, where our stuff is, and then what we're insurance for, and what can we take a risk on, you know? And so I think we're getting closer to be able to get down into the finite points to be able to bring to you some ideas, but we're trying to crunch the numbers as best as possible to keep this low. As Councilman both at the other end have both said, is, you know, this is where you can lose a lot of money too, you know, because all of a sudden you have a couple of our key infrastructure things that go away that we need back. We're gonna have to pay to get them back if we're not properly insured, you know.
I guess as a question, and it might make it really simple for people, because a lot of people don't understand insurance, I know. We had a premium increase, or the next premium is higher. How many dollars of value did we go up for?
Oh, we increased over, let's see here.
from the previous year? How many, what's our?
On property, is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just interested, let's just take one of them. On property, how much more coverage
In
have we?
2016, we increased the lodge by $1 million. We increased the traffic lights from 3.6 to 5.8. And now they're supposed to be at 10 million. We inspected with the Cincinnati carrier, the city hall, the central fire station, the main library. We went up on the main library, the street department, all those buildings, the Fifth Avenue Police Storage, which was, the one by,
The old RJ Boers?
yes.
Yeah.
The showboat, we went up to, $500,000, just shy of that on that showboat. And I know some people say, oh my God, well, the stack alone is 50,000 and you're putting in 300,000. And that sign alone was 42,000 now, it said. We increased the Erickson Center, and that should be, the roof was replaced by Cincinnati, so that should be, you know, I've been updating the roofs and the electrical as needed. The airport was a huge, increase prior year, and then basically it was that new wastewater treatment plant, adding the old one for 9.8 million, since it's still in operation. And they use all those buildings out there.
So what's the, how many million
I
did
didn't
we?
add it all up.
Oh.
But
Did
I
you- Did
mean-
you get that going, Matt?
It sounds like we're gonna have to get, she's gonna have to get back to us on that, 'cause it
Yeah,
sounds
I
like
can-
there's a lot
so,
of.
yeah.
Okay, so, and how much did our premium go up?
It was, well, and then part of that is the fireboat in there,
Okay,
cause
right.
that is separate, which that was another thing we did learn this year. Anita breaks it down, and that's how this all came to light. Nobody's ever asked me for the breakdown. I can tell you exactly what department pays what.
But, what I was interested in is, we got
Over 45,000.
Yes, I'm looking here.
45,000.
Over 45,000.
$45,000 increase for $17 million more coverage. Is that right? Or is that up?
I don't know, I
Yes.
didn't hear the total figure.
Well, that's
Hang on,
what-
I'm looking. I got more paper than I got anything here.
We'll add it up.
Yes, $45,000.
$45,000.
We did
okay,
add
sure.
$70 million for the new plant, we added $9 million for the old one.
Right,
So we added, but we added $17 million more of coverage for it.
yes.
Right.
And,
So basically, to be completely protected with a $1,000 deductible for $244,000 for over $178 million, I think that's pretty fair.
and I know there are some insurance companies that probably wouldn't even insure building 45 or the showboat
No.
just because of the age and the condition of them.
Nope. And 6,200 of that is the fireboat. And it was hard to find somebody to insure the fireboat because it is such a high valued boat and you're going out in bad ways. So if it sinks, we're paying $500,000. So, and it was
Does that have
basic.
replacement cost to it?
No.
Or is that depreciated?
Well, you
Actual
know
cash
what?
value?
It might be because
One
it's,
fire would be,
it's
sure.
the agreed value because it's
Okay.
Cincinnati. So
Okay.
yeah, it would be
Okay.
for the 493.
Okay, so that
So
was-
you're saying that, just to recap though, we haven't been out for bid in 16 years,
No, that is not true.
11 years.
No.
No.
In
no.
2011.
2011, you went
Yeah.
back out.
Yes,
But with your
No.
agency, not other agencies.
right. No.
So particularly your agency has had it for 17 years.
Yes.
Okay.
But my point was that.
Which is
I get
not
your point.
uncommon.
Yeah,
I
the
get
agency,
your
the
point.
agency
Hey,
doesn't
I-
make the difference, it's the company
Well,
that's gonna
we
bid
don't know
the-
that. We're taking
Oh,
that,
yeah.
right now, we're taking that for granted. For 17 years, I mean.
But usually with insurance agencies or agents, it's
Oh,
sort
trust
of
me,
like,
I've done it.
yeah,
And it
but
does
it's
make a
sort of
difference,
like
trust me.
doctors, lawyers, accountants. Unless it's broken, you don't fix it. And you will not find another agency who bends over backwards. I mean, we're available 24/7. And we also check social media. I mean, we're constantly telling them if there's a hazard. I mean, even one of your own, it was like a huge hole in a cement sidewalk. So it's just, that's what we do. We're proactive instead of reactive.
Out of this conversation, I think a yearly update probably around the budget season, especially
Yeah.
if we're going through those line items.
That would be wonderful. Nobody's ever wanted me. I'm just saying, it's like the plague. No, I can even do summaries of just the changes throughout the year.
I haven't looked at it. I just got it.
Well, it is nice to know what you have. That's why we did the slideshow, because you don't even realize even my own friends, I mean, I'm really a nerd to where I'll go, look at that traffic, like 200,000, what? You know, you just don't even think about it.
Well, and then I'm wondering, so right after this meeting tonight, because I think we're gonna talk about getting rid of some vehicles. you're
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
come
we
back to the
delete those.
office and
Yeah.
Yes.
They're gonna be gone.
Yeah, Dennis is wonderful. All of the department heads are wonderful.
Dennis.
Dennis, and what, with ICAP,
Dennis is
it's
buying
nice.
lunch around, yeah.
Any
Yeah.
new vehicles that are added through the year, say if you bought one August, it's not charged to you until the following July. And then the same way if you delete them. So right before we check the July 1 renewal, Dennis tells me all of them that go to scrap, and then we add any new ones. So no, we stay in constant contact with them, and the mowers, all that stuff.
Councilmember C, we also talked, Julie and I did, and Anita, that our battle rhythm is gonna be actually quarterly, and then we build up so we can get prepared for the July 1st budget run, so we see if there's any differences. But then we're also staying in contact if there's any changes. There's immediate changes that happen, but then also just update inspections, any changes, that way we can stay current on that as well.
Well, and I will still send it out to at least 4 carriers for this renewal, but I will not tell them what the price is. To me, that's what they have to work for. I could sit there and tell them it's 244,000. They're not gonna check this meeting, but they're gonna bring it in lower. But instead I say, here you go, quote it. And then, but I really have the utmost respect out of Cincinnati.
Get that information to us after you get those.
He has it on PDF form. Yeah,
It's basically a statement of values,
yes.
yeah,
But see, the thing with the statement of values is.
minus
it-
some stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah, the new stuff we have to add, but otherwise, it's basically never been done by the cities. You know what I mean? You guys didn't do that to where we do it based on the replacement cost. And even with the lodge, we checked it even today, because we just, you know, once you do this often enough, you're pretty good at it. And it's supposed to be at 1.8 million, and it's at 1.79. So I'm confident in, it's all based on square footage and the construction. But that would be a monster to rebuild, and I hope to God nothing ever happens to it. But if it does, you're insured.
So how long would it take to provide bid specifications to go out for bid?
Well, for yours, the statement of values are my work papers. So if you were going out
Work
for
product.
RFP,
You can't get the work product.
you would have to do your bid specs.
How long?
I have no
2
idea.
days, a week?
That wouldn't be a
Oh,
question
no,
for her. That'd
that's
be a
not me,
question-
that's,
That'd be a question
have
for
to
your
put it
city
together.
administrator. That you're not, you don't ask an insurance agent to create an RFP for you.
I said bid specifications to bid too.
No,
No, that's her,
No.
so it
no, what
wouldn't
she's
be her
saying
job.
though is
Absolutely.
that's her work product, she's not gonna have.
No, it's
it.
not her that would be your city administrator.
Absolutely you do. I do it in my business, we do it. You ask the agent, give us the bids, we're gonna go out for bid. How long would it take to do the bid specifications?
but
Simple
you
question.
have, what, couple buildings? You know what I mean? This is a whole.
I just asked
city.
the question, how long would it take?
I've never been asked that.
Okay.
Would you suggest, I mean, do you
Yeah.
have any knowledge?
Well, it would take however long it would take to go through all the structures and determine their values.
But that
which
wouldn't
I-
be me.
And I don't have an estimate of, I don't know how long that would take. I can tell you what it takes to go through the ADM facilities. 22,000 steps on my Fitbit, but I couldn't tell you what it would take to go through all the city's buildings, though.
Do we have any, Councilmember O'Neill?
Well, I think where we wanna, at least I'd like to go, is I'd like to get a recommendation from you of what we should keep and maybe we should drop. Maybe there's some things we should,
Well, and that's what I'm working with both
Yeah,
Matt
we
and.
should-
They're working on that right now.
and then get that put together, you know, not just before, like November before budget.
No,
Do
no.
it,
Oh, no, it
has
would
to
be
be
before
like,
the
yeah,
It has to be
July
before-
1
Actually, it
renewal.
has to be before July 1,
okay.
because if you, that's when the renewal
You know,
is.
maybe we can cut some costs out.
Cause I would rather eliminate instead of changing that deductible. Cause I mean, down on Lincoln Way, they take out those decorative lights a lot, and they're about $6,000 a light.
Yeah.
So if you have a $5,000 deductible, it just doesn't pay.
We'd
So,
be paying out more than what we'd be saving.
Yeah,
Right.
and they usually don't have insurance at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
driving
that's
home
true
from
too.
the bar.
They leave it.
So, well,
Okay.
well, yeah, I'd like to see, you know, if there's some place where we can maybe up the deductibles and make it cost a little bit less, or maybe not insure it, I don't know.
right. but I just didn't know who is supposed to make that determination. Is it the council, is it the administrator? I would assume, it's always been the administrator before, but I don't.
Well, it's actually would be the recommendation of the administrator. The council would have to approve those
Oh,
type of
gotcha.
changes based on the administrator's recommendations.
But no, I can easily do that. Well, and then too, I mean, every year we tell Cincinnati, we tell all of them, they're sharpen your pencils. So, I mean, the price is the price for a reason. It's just, even the deck alone on the Candlelight is $230,000, cause it's that fancy decking. And you go, oh, that can't be right.
It needs to be
I wish the
replaced.
stairs were fancy decking.
I know.
It needs
Rust
to be
is not
replaced.
coming. But then even, this year we've gone one step further because you guys have 161 vehicles. I went down, got the big old books, we made sure, we took pictures of everyone just to confirm, cause some of these vehicles are old and you think, oh, they can't be here. But if you have that title, you have that car, and they're on that policy. So nope, we are very diligent on making sure it is accurate.
So I got a final question, just real quick from myself. What would it hurt the city if we went out for an RFP?
If you went out for RFP, and if you were basing it just on price alone, they will most likely, beat it, because they know the numbers, and if they did that, you may end up just like Dubuque. You know, so you might have it cheap for 2 years and go right back up. That's the only thing. Plus, it's just not about the price, it's also about the service, which